America's schools are supposed to be the foundation of hope, opportunity, and equality. For generations, parents have believed that sending their children to school would open doors, break barriers, and give them a chance at a better life. But in reality, that promise has been broken for millions of students, because racism is still alive in our classrooms. It may not always look like the burning crosses or segregation signs of the past, but it's there, silently shaping futures and quietly failing America's students every single day. Imagine a young child walking into school, full of dreams, eager to learn, ready to grow. But from the very first moment, the system doesn't treat them the same as others. Teachers may have lower expectations based on the color of their skin. Textbooks may erase or distort the history of their people. Schools in their neighborhoods may be underfunded, overcrowded, and lacking the resources that wealthier, whiter districts take for granted. This isn't just unfair, it's a tragedy, because when one student is denied opportunity, the entire nation loses. Racism in schools isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's subtle, the way teachers discipline students of color more harshly than their white peers for the same behavior. Sometimes it's in the way advanced classes are offered, where Black and Latino students are underrepresented not because they lack intelligence, but because they were never encouraged or given the support to join. And sometimes it's painfully clear. Schools literally divided by race and wealth, just like the days of segregation, but with new names and excuses. The numbers tell a devastating story. Students of color are suspended at rates 3 to 4 times higher than white students. They are more likely to be placed in remedial programs, less likely to be offered college prep courses, and far more likely to attend schools with inexperienced teachers. In fact, many predominantly Black and Latino schools don't even have enough textbooks for every student. Imagine trying to compete in the modern world when you don't even have the basic tools to study. That's not equality, that's failure, and the cost of this failure is staggering. Experts estimate that America loses billions of dollars every single year because racism holds students back. Every child who doesn't graduate, every student who gives up, every dream that is crushed by systemic inequality. It all adds up. Lower graduation rates mean lower lifetime earnings, less tax revenue, higher unemployment, and even higher crime rates. In other words, racism in schools doesn't just hurt students of color, it hurts every single American. Because when millions are denied the chance to succeed, the entire nation falls behind. But beyond the numbers, beyond the dollars lost, there are human stories. Stories of children who could have been doctors, scientists, teachers, or leaders, but who never got the chance. Stories of parents who work 3 jobs to send their kids to a better school, only to find out that even there, bias follows their child into the classroom. Stories of students who raise their hand with confidence, only to be ignored, who show talent only to be told it's not enough, who speak with passion, only to be silenced. These are not just statistics, these are lives. And what does that teach America's students? It teaches them that no matter how hard they work, some doors will remain closed. It teaches them that their value depends not on their effort, but on their skin color. It teaches them that equality is just a word in the Pledge of Allegiance, not a reality in their lives. That kind of lesson doesn't just fail a student, it breaks their spirit. And when a nation breaks the spirit of its youth, it destroys its own future. Some may argue that racism is a thing of the past, that schools today are colorblind. But the truth says otherwise. Look at the funding gaps. Schools serving mostly white students receive billions more in funding than schools serving mostly students of color. Look at the test scores. Achievement gaps have barely closed in decades. Look at the opportunities. White students are twice as likely to have access to advanced placement classes, gifted programs, and college counseling. That's not colorblind. That's a system designed to favor some and fail others. Now ask yourself, what happens when generation after generation grows up trapped in this cycle? What happens when children are told, not in words, but in actions, that they are less worthy? You get a society where inequality deepens, where distrust grows, where hope fades. And that is exactly what we see in America today. Communities divided, opportunities hoarded, potential wasted, and at the center of it all, schools that should have been the solution, but instead became part of the problem. But here's the truth. This doesn't have to be permanent. This doesn't have to be the future. Change is possible, but only if we face the reality head-on. Only if we admit that racism still exists in our schools. Only if we stop pretending that inequality is natural or inevitable. Only if we make the decision, as a nation, that every child deserves the same chance to succeed, no matter their zip code, no matter their race, no matter their background. Imagine what would happen if we truly invested in every student equally. If every classroom had enough resources. If every teacher was trained to recognize and fight bias. If every student saw themselves in their textbooks, their curriculum, their leaders. Imagine the innovation, the progress, the breakthroughs that could come from millions of young minds finally given the freedom to soar. America would be unstoppable. Because the greatest strength of any nation is its people, all of its people. And let's be honest, racism in schools is not just an education problem. It's a moral problem. It's a question of who we are as a country. Do we really believe in liberty and justice for all or only for some? Do we really believe in opportunity or do we only protect privilege? The answer is written every day in America's classrooms. And right now, it's an answer that should make us all ashamed. But shame alone won't fix it. Action will. Action from teachers who choose to see potential in every child. Action from parents who demand better funding and fair treatment. Action from students who speak out when they are silenced. And action from all of us, because whether you have children or not, this fight is about the future of America. The question is simple. Do we want a country where talent is wasted? Or a country where talent is nurtured? Do we want a future built on inequality? Or a future built on justice? Every time a student is failed by racism, America loses. But every time we choose to fight back, America wins. And the choice is ours right now. We can continue to let racism fail our students, or we can finally stand up and say, enough is enough. Our children deserve better. Our nation deserves better. And the world is watching to see what we choose. If you believe education should be equal for all, if you believe no child should be left behind because of the color of their skin, then this is the moment to act. Share this message. Talk about it with your family. Demand it from your leaders. And never stop fighting for justice in America's schools. Because the future depends on it. Because every child depends on it. Because equality in education isn't just an ideal. It's a necessity. So the next time someone tells you racism doesn't exist in schools, remember the numbers. Remember the stories. Remember the billions lost. The future stolen. The dreams denied. And remember that silence is complicity. Change begins when we speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable.